I'm Bianca Sparacino. I'm the creative director at Thought Catalog. We have 30 million monthly unique readers. We have a pretty big following on Instagram, which is nice. We have a very engaged, committed community that I've helped to create. So it's been a very fun 3 years working on them with that. Unfortunately, it isn't what I thought I would be doing at this point in my life. I grew up wanting to be a doctor, a brain surgeon, actually. And then I decided that it was not what I wanted to do. I didn't know what I actually wanted to do. That's because I grew up with immigrant parents who came here from Italy, and my whole life we struggled a lot. From a very young age, I attributed success with whatever would give me monetary gain. And I told myself that I was going to be a doctor so that I would never ever have to deal with that ever in my life. And I mean, I wanted to help people. I nerd out on neuroscience. It's like my thing. I love it. But it wasn't what I wanted to do. And we tell ourselves that we're gonna fulfill ourselves in certain ways, and to walk away from what you've created for 22 years of your life is extremely difficult. And it's not easy. And I had to give myself this space, and I had to give myself the permission to be the person who did things differently. And I had to tell myself that I was allowed to walk away from something I had thought I wanted for so long. So I traveled the world, cliche, sailed across the Philippines, went to Bali, hiked through Western Australia, did that whole thing, came back to myself, and I still didn't know what the hell I wanted to do. Because that's not how it works. I was writing throughout that whole time, and I was sharing my words on Instagram, and people were like, whoa, this really resonates with me. This is really hitting me in my heart. And I was like, yeah, great, that's awesome. These are just my feelings that I'm putting on the internet because I have a lot of them and I need to put them somewhere. And I didn't really think that that was viable because I grew up my whole life being told that creative industries weren't viable ways to sustain an income, to have security in your life. So I just never thought that that was going to be the route I was going to take. I eventually wrote an article outlining all of the fears I had. It was called How to Ruin Your Life. And it talked about being the kind of person who feels like they need to take the next step, and the next step, and the next step, get married, have the kids, die with lots of money that you'll never be able to use. And people really resonated with that. It went viral. Thought Catalog accepted it. The creative director at that time said, you really have an eye. You have a good way with words. And would you like to write a book for us? And I was like, yeah, sure. And that book did really well. And they offered me a freelancing position. And I thought that's what I wanted. I was like, yes, I'm gonna freelance, I'm gonna stay at home, I can work in my pajamas, it's gonna be dope. Yeah, I hated it. I didn't like it. It wasn't fun for me. I think the big takeaway from my story, I asked for what I needed, and I allowed myself to take up space in an industry I never once thought I would even have an opportunity to be in. Be the person who is a beginner again. Bet on yourself, take a chance on yourself, believe that you have the capacity to do what you want to do, and believe that you have the capacity to be the person who walks away from an identity that you thought would fulfill you but no longer does. And I think that's really important to remember because you have the ability to do that, and you should really lean into the feelings that arise when you are at work. Like Mimi was talking about, if you're not happy, lean into that and figure out what isn't making you happy. And know that there is not an alternate universe out there, but there is a reality that you can grab and create for yourself if you just give yourself permission to walk away from the identity you've created for yourself and to grasp the one that you want to create for yourself.